Hello and welcome to the Farm Traveler Podcast. This is episode 12, and our guest today is Luella Fischer Gregory. She has a website called Ag Moves, which is focused on ag education programs for elementary school students in Missouri. She also has some children's books highlighting agriculture and some cookbooks. So she's got a lot of really cool stuff going on, and we're going to talk to her about them, as well as kind of the whole basis of what Missouri agriculture is about. And don't forget, this is episode 12. We're still doing our 10th episode giveaway. I know you've seen it. You've seen it on Facebook, Instagram. And all you've got to do is follow our Instagram page and leave a review, like a star rating and a written review on iTunes. We're averaging about 50, 55, 60 listeners per episode. And we've got 6 reviews on iTunes. I know we can get 10 or 15 or more than that. So please go to iTunes, leave a review. It helps us out a ton on iTunes. We greatly appreciate it. And we will announce the winner of the Yeti giveaway on our 15th episode, which is going to be July 3rd. So don't forget to do that. And we really hope you enjoy this episode, episode 12 with Luella Fischer Gregory. It's a really good one. Enjoy it. Thanks for listening. I'll stop meandering now. All right, enjoy the podcast. Thanks. Well, Luella Gregory from Missouri, welcome to the Farm Traveler Podcast. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. So you've got a very diverse ag background. So kind of walk us through how you got your start in agriculture and what it's like being a farm mom and working on the farm.
Sure. So yeah, agriculture has really been a part of my life since I could remember. I grew up on a farm in East Central Missouri. My father was a full-time farmer along with his excavating business. We mainly had row crop growing up. We had a few cows. My grandpa had some livestock, but for the most part, we had row crop. And that's really where the seeds of agriculture, came to me and was planted in my heart. And I just really had a love for agriculture early on. So that's kind of evolved, over time. And I've taken different roads to, get where I am today. But it really started on the farm in Missouri.
Now, you are in charge of a website called Ag Moves, which is an ag education program for elementary schools. Can you kind of talk us through how that got started and what exactly you do with that?
Sure. So Ag Education on the Move is a program currently through Missouri Farmers Care, which is a collaborative effort of all the farm groups in Missouri. Years ago, we realized in agriculture that we really needed to be a united front, that oftentimes consumers didn't always see us separately, right? So we felt that we needed to come together and be a united front in terms of educating and an advocacy group. So Missouri Farmers Care was established, and with that, the Ag Education program. So my passion for agriculture education really started early on, as I mentioned, with my farm roots. But as I was involved in FFA and then I went into college, I realized how much misinformation there was. And, I found that there was a lot of really well-intended people. They just didn't know the facts, or they were overwhelmed with the amount of information. And I always thought that it was so important to plant that seed early on with young people. So Ag Education on the Move is really about planting that seed with an elementary audience and, just sharing with them how agriculture impacts their life, how farm families impact their life and provide them with products. And it's really important in the program that we also shed light on the technology and sophistication in our ag community. I think oftentimes, people that aren't from our industry either have a romanticized version of agriculture, that 1940s, 50s, image, or they oftentimes think things that aren't necessarily true or have that misinformation. So we really want them to understand that there's farm families out there that are multi-generational, but they have embraced technology in such a cool way. And we're doing some amazing things in the industry. So it's really a program that bridges the gap and hopefully connects the dots so our third grade students can learn about, where their carton of milk comes from, their hamburger, their, blue jeans, all of that good stuff. I'm also proud of the program because we really make sure that we have interactive activities. I really believe in hands-on learning, and I think that our students can really excel with interactive activities. So that's a really big part of what we do with the program. The students get to plant seeds, they create feed rations, they do all kinds of exciting things, but they do it hands-on. and they use their senses. And we have found that that's really, really memorable for them, and really, something that they don't forget. And hopefully they can build on that as a future consumer.
Elementary school kids are so impressionable at that young age, and they're trying to learn as much as they can. And I know across the country there's not a lot of elementary ag ed programs. We've talked to a professor in Georgia where they're starting Georgia ag ed programs in elementary schools, and I know some other countries do it. So it's so good that you guys are reaching out to those elementary school kids to make them know that chocolate milk doesn't come from chocolate cows, and just kind of
Absolutely.
educating them. That's really cool.
Yeah, and in our program, I should mention that, we really embrace the passionate people. That's what really our program is about. We recognize that there's so many great resources out there in terms of ag education. So many organizations have done such a great job with developing ag education and literacy type curriculum. So we don't want to reinvent the wheel in terms of doing that, but we want to get those materials and resources in the hands of passionate people. So we always say that Ag on the Move is really about the passionate messengers. We hope to equip them with information, and then we have our passionate teachers that visit the classroom as a guest once a week over the course of 10 weeks. So that's really what our program is about, is getting those resources into the classroom and hopefully share that message. We've also found that the educators in the classroom, so our teachers, our principals, our superintendents, that's a really important audience for us as well, that learn along the way when we do the program.
Right, that's really cool. Now, in addition to that, you've also written some children's books about ag literacy. Is that right?
Yeah, so I started a series. I've always had a passion for writing, and again, kind of as I mentioned before, I felt like there was a need for some ag literacy type children's books. A lot of them have that, feel of what our farms looked like, 50 years ago, and absolutely that's a part of my past and a part of my family history. But, agriculture has come a long way, and there's so many positive things to share. So I wanted to really try to provide a storyline that included characters that children can relate to, and that makes it fun to read and learn, but also really encompasses and highlights modern agriculture and all the things that we're doing. So started a series. I'm actually working on another piece right now that embraces modern agriculture. So that's a really fun way, to share our message as well.
What kind of trends have you seen with ag literacy as of late, or however many elementary programs you've gone to? What are some of the big major points that you've learned from those ag ed outreaches?
Oh goodness, there's just so many questions and misinformation. And I think here of late, a lot of the talk is around, food labels and things of that nature. A lot of people, and I'm a mom. I have a young son, so I can totally relate to the mom or the consumer that's going into the grocery store and has the best intentions of trying to, make those decisions that's the best for their family. And there's lots of labels and names, and it can be overwhelming for somebody who's just wanting to make a decision. So I see that a lot, where there's lots of questions about different kinds of products. So consumers want to know what's the difference between A and B, and I think that we see that a lot across the board. And, even in our elementary programs, we hear the, commentary by the elementary students, because they hear things that are at home, or if they're at the grocery store and accompanying their grown up. So I'd say that that's one of the big things right now. All of the areas, as we kind of call them, hot button issues in ag, are talked about. But in general, I've been really, really encouraged by how excited people get, when they're learning about agriculture. And a lot of times they just don't know. So I think it just goes to show that we want to make sure we continue to share our story.
Cool. Yeah, the more I learn, I guess the older I get, I learned that there's no real good resource for ag knowledge once you get out of school. I mean, you've got plenty of like sports news agencies or tech or weather or markets and all that jazz, but there's really nothing agriculture based. So, I mean, getting them while they're young in elementary school and teaching them how to be ag literate, how to do your own research is really cool. So I'm glad you guys are doing that.
Yeah.
Now, in addition, you apparently write a ton. So, in addition to those kid books, you've also got some cookbooks, and you've done some cooking segments on TV. Can you walk us through that and kind of how
Yeah.
you got started?
Yeah, so I've always loved to cook. So I did come out with a cookbook, and really that was a platform to really combine my interest and love for cooking and for agriculture education. I think oftentimes, there's an opportunity, obviously, to engage and create conversations around food and around the dinner table. All of us eat, all of us have a relationship with food and consumables. So I think it's a great inroad to talk about agriculture and how those products came to be and their journey. And so I really wanted to do that, and especially, again, highlight modern agriculture and all the things that we're doing. So the cookbook is really a piece that I wanted to accomplish a lot of things. I wanted to, share my ag roots and the family history, and really hopefully for the reader, they can see how passionate and, agriculture is so personal to me. And so I hope that there's a, somewhat of a trust building experience through the book. They get to learn my family background and kind of my story in agriculture. But along the way, I incorporated table talk facts, which were really important to me. And those really accompany different commodities. So the cookbook is broke down into commodities, so beef, pork, poultry, wheat to bread, those kinds of things. And, I talk about, why chicken breasts are larger now than they were when my grandmother cooked. And so we really just touch on those things and really try to address some of the questions that I know consumers have in a lighthearted way. I always tell people that I hope that it's more than a cookbook. It's an experience for them. And, I've had a lot of interest from the ag community, of course, but I'm hoping that the cookbook can also relate to people that, may not know as much about agriculture, and they can hopefully learn through the cookbook. So it's just really a platform to combine two of my love and passion areas, which is, cooking and ag literacy.
I think that's such a really good idea because, I mean, we all love cooking. And what better time to teach consumers about where their food comes from than when they're actually putting those ingredients together and making like a really good meal? So that's really cool. How did you kind of get your start, your love of cooking?
My mom and always cooked growing up. I mean, we always had meals. We were a traditional farm family, so we always sat at the table each evening. It may be 9, 10 o'clock at night time we did that, but we always were we were always cooking and enjoying food. But honestly, I started out really enjoying baking. That was very therapeutic for me. And then as I got older, I got more into savory cooking, and it's just kind of like, I think, like any other interest area for people, whether it's music or drawing or cooking just came easy to me. I didn't have to think a lot about it. I would just put ingredients together, and it was fun. I enjoyed it. It was fun. And so I think it was just something that I really enjoyed early on, and just kind of had a knack for, and have experimented over the years, and kind of like we talked about earlier, it's just a great way to create those conversations around agriculture and the ingredients, because there's so many things we can talk about when it comes to beef and other products. I've been doing some projects for beef in our state, and it's also allowed me the opportunity to do some TV segments around beef. And what's great about that is, people enjoy seeing recipes, but I can also talk about the beef industry and how many farm families are raising beef in our country, and the things that they do to ensure that beef is the best that it can be when it hits your dinner plate. So there's lots of great inroads to talk about all of those things as we're talking about the dish and recipe.
What exactly is Missouri agriculture like? Like, what are some of the main industries in Missouri?
We are so diverse in our state. A lot of people don't realize, but agriculture is an $88 billion business in Missouri. And when I say business, I mean, small farm family business. We are actually number 2 in the number of farms in our state. We are just behind Texas, and for obvious reasons. They have a advantage to us, geographically, with just more acreage, but we have a lot of farms in our state. But we're very diverse. We're actually, we fall behind Oklahoma on some years in beef, cow calf. So sometimes we're ranked number 2. Sometimes we just fall just barely short of Oklahoma, and we're number 3. A lot of people, when they think of cattle, they don't think of Missouri, but we're in the top 3 and oftentimes number 2 in the nation. We're also in the top 10 for soybeans and corn and ice cream production, all kinds of commodities. We have a lot of row crop. We have a lot of cattle and hay production in our state. In Southwest Missouri, we have a lot of poultry production. We've got a lot of broilers. And so we're really diverse. In Northwest Missouri, the landscape's changed a little bit, but we have a lot of row crop. In our boot hill in the southeast part of the state, we have cotton and rice. something that's not, across the board, but in our southeast region. So lots of crops, lots of commodities in our state. We have over 100 wineries in our state. So lots of different wineries. We have a lot of fruit and nut production. We're also number one in black walnuts. So lots of top commodities, but also lots of fruit and nut production as well.
Florida's super diverse too, but that's really cool that you guys are up there in beef production. I never, honestly, I never really think of Missouri as up there in beef production. Usually it's like
Yes,
Texas and Oklahoma, so that's really cool.
yes,
Yep. So if people want to learn more about your books, if they want to buy some of your cookbooks, or if they've got kids and want to buy some of your children's books, where's the best
sure.
place to get those?
Yeah, so you can find me. My name. I've got my name from my grandmother. It was like my grandmother's namesake, and I always say it served me well in terms of being unique. So you can search Luella, my first name, and luellasfp.com is where you can find my books and more information. You can also find me on all the social channels. Just type in LuellaSFP, so Luella's FP as in Luella's front porch, and you can find out more information. I'd love to hear from you.
That's so cool. Do you have any more books? I know you mentioned you have one more kids book.
I do. Yeah, we're working on a book now. Like anything, that's been an experience, and so we're kind of doing some reworks. We came out with a book that was focused on dairy production and the journey of milk. This book is going to encompass kind of more of a broader view of agriculture, kind of like hitting on a lot more of the commodities and just in general, kind of the farmer grows a rainbow concept. So thinking about where all of our parts of the pizza comes from, and those things. So we're really excited about that. And that will be out by the fall. So, just stay tuned and we'll be sharing more about that as well.
What about your publisher? Have they kind of been like super interested in having an ag focused children's book? Like how exactly has that worked out?
Yeah, so I've kind of, it's a unique, I had a prior relationship with the publisher with working with them on some other items. So they had some ag clients before. So, we're familiar with the concepts. Children's books, probably kind of, something that they don't always do. So not, they have magazine and other specialty books. So a children's book was kind of a new to their arena. But I think they were excited, and they were certainly excited about the cookbook piece because it was, a really great way to showcase, Missouri, honestly, because we talk a lot about agriculture and, my roots are in Missouri. So they were definitely interested. And what I love about that is that there's an experience there as well, for them to learn about agriculture and my story. So it was a good experience. And those things are definitely learning experiences, and you kind of learn as you go and learn for next time for sure.
Gotcha. Yeah, I can imagine. That's super cool. Yeah, I've got a whole row of like ag related books that I've got to get to eventually, but my wife always makes fun of me because she can read a huge chapter book in like a week, and it takes me months and months and months to finish it. Well, Luella, this has been super fascinating to learn about all your books, your cookbooks, your website, agmoves.com. If people want to get involved with agmoves.com or research you guys, isn't it just agmoves.com?
It is. They can go to agmoves.com. They can go to mofarmerscare.com as well. But agmoves.com has a general inquiry request form there, so you can definitely reach out to us. You can send us a message if you have questions or want to learn more. We can certainly follow up with you that way. There's also a video on there that kind of summarizes what we do, so you can also check that out as well.
Well, Luella, this has been absolutely great. Thank you for being on the podcast, and we'll talk to you
Yes.
soon.
Thanks for having me. Have a great day.